Well, salutations! What's the crack? Time for something a little different in our look upon our goal of streaming on Twitch and YouTube. I ended up taking a wee bit more of a view of Survivor Series. And I was on about this beforehand, how I was thinking of setting up a pro wrestling simulator save that would start at the start of a month and continue on from that particular point in time and see how I would go, what changes I would end up doing, and see how things would end up going from there. And that's what we're going to end up doing. Thank you for joining us, Benke. You're about to see us going through this type of stuff. Yes. And we already have our first showcase of how the game is going to fuck me into making this not 100% realistic. Because I don't predict, considering the entire reason Triple H has the that Chris Jericho has the ROH Championship is to get a TV deal. I don't think he'd relinquish it, nor would Brian Cage. But I'm not responsible for AEW in this particular save. Maybe in the future, I might consider that. But for now, this is going down through how I would go from here. We will take a little bit of time before actually booking our first Raw to take into account the roster that we have, be it those that are in the developmental cycle and those that are actually on the full roster. There are certain elements of realism I might end up alluding to. I was looking at certain elements of this just because I was testing one or two things, and I won't break this one immediately, but considering the save pack that I have here has it a bit different. God, how do you spell them? It's R anyway. Oh God, because he's the prime example of what I'm showing. So give me 1 second. Yeah, so to give an example, like Ricochet here, recently joined AEW, so there's no way that if you've done the negotiation with him, you take him. So, I won't go for him straight away. But, with that being the case, it's not to state that I won't, in the future, go down this line on getting him back. But I will end up looking through certain elements, watching shows to see how things end up going, and will feel free to end up adding people back to the show to see how they end up doing and improving it upon that way. It's a large database of wrestlers that are in it. Not everyone is in it, but it's a good bit of showcase. I showcased a bit of how I ended up doing this before. I got a couple of months down into that one, so it'll be interesting to see how this one ends up going. It is a bit of an issue with the way the Pro Wrestling Simulator is set up, that to end up causing issues of getting people. Like, for example, I guarantee you if I end up going to Kenny, like if I go to Kenny now, he's injured until the 1st of June 2025. Okay, so that's where sometimes, because normally Kenny is down with loads of other places because he does loads of independence, so it's normally when you're able to nick. Hangman Adam Page is normally another one like that. But we'll end up going where we are at the moment. We won't be adding anyone new yet. And let's see how things end up going. I'm not doing too bad. It's a nice Monday. It's chill with a bit of a dour demeanour of itself here around my region of Ireland at the moment. But all in all, it's a good old day. I'm happy. Have this set up finally starting it a wee bit grand. I would ask though, How is it? Do you think it's viewable? This, I know it's a wee bit grainy, but is that okay? Because I do have an additional setup for this. For if we need to go tighter, I can end up moving over to this, which obviously gives us more clarity in the viewpoint of what we're doing, but takes my face off of it, takes the chat off of it, you know. But we'll see as things end up going. We'll end up moving it as we need to. If we need to end up going in tighter, we'll end up going in tighter. But for now, I think we'll stick with this. But in general, Benny, I'm doing well. So thank you so much for asking. And in the same vein, how are you doing, my dear friend? How's life treating you? I refuse to believe that's part of his contract. Refuse to believe that. Oh, well, I'm here to listen. Think of me as your counselor, albeit that whatever that you're going to end up saying here will be, you know, shared with the world, saved for prosperity, and used in future to demean and ridicule you. But I will end up listening to you and giving my support and able to help if you want. Yeah, everywhere's doing that, unfortunately. Places just don't want to. Places just want, unfortunately, people going back into the office, and it's honestly a crying shame because, like, if you can do your job from home, you should be able to do your job from home. Life is too stressful without adding that extra cost. And the sad thing about it too is you'll try and make the case for you to end up getting that money back, but they won't end up giving it back to you. In an awful lot of cases, that's the case. In several other cases, it's a situation of, I know that it's a situation of, I don't know how to manage someone without them being directly there and me, you know, dragging them by the tails in order to make sure they actually do shit. Unfortunately, there's an awful lot of that as well. Eric is back now, so that's grand. Okay. So in theory, they say you should book. Okay, well, we'll look at a couple of them in a second. In theory, they say you should book main event before you book Raw, because in theory it does come beforehand. So we'll see if that ends up happening. Now that's actually something I don't want. I want him. So let's see if I can end up getting him. So we're already making. I wasn't expecting to do this as quick as I am, but at the same point in time, funny how quick you end up making big changes. You're being used as an announcer. That's not how I want to use you. I'd want to use you as a personality. The signing bonus is sound. I won't be using you for quite some time. Chono is useful because he has a name. And I believe he speaks perfect English, doesn't he? Let me actually check that up. Because if he doesn't, then actually it's a waste of my time. Fuck it, I'll leave him to it. As for this, Show wins the IWGP. Interesting. I know very little about him, but he's 35 and phenomenally good. Now, you'd be waiting a bit anyway, because he wouldn't take someone after winning a championship. But I actually know very little about him. You wouldn't get him anyway because he's there, but put him on the short list in case anything happens. It can happen, but I've never seen anyone get sacked. World Wrestling Association. Interesting. And then Mark Cadona there. Yeah. I mean, even if he did sign him, he wouldn't be ready yet to bring in. So why didn't you play him? How come you left him aside? How come he hasn't been playing? Because if he is a key player, that is somewhat understandable. Well, you know, that's where the unfortunate situation happens when someone ends up coming in that performs somewhat better than you. So yeah, you'll just have to deal with his anger for the time being. Doug Williams, huh? Oh, Rachel Ellering is after leaving. That's an interesting one. All of these will end up... I don't like that this screen you bring up here, you can't actually sign anyone on if you wanted to give them a negotiation. It is also something that this game ends up doing that I don't 100% agree with. Like, I understand there's a lot of Japanese wrestlers out there, but the Japanese wrestlers that are out there who've never been on big stage, like, have bonkers level stats. It is a lot with Japanese women. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but like their stats are bonkers. Okay, George was hurt the first game, and Pemington scored. He scored in the second game. Assistant third, then he scored in the first. So Jack Pemington. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. And the sad thing about it is making him as a substitute won't end up placating him either, which is the other annoying thing about it. Neil Dashwood. That's Emma, isn't it? Yes. Yeah, in WWE, that's Emma. Really? Oh god, excuse me. Sorry, I seem to be coming down with a bit of a cold, which is an annoying time for it to happen, considering I want to end up doing the streaming and the whole lot and keep up to date with things. So my deepest apologies if I accidentally cough a little too close to the microphone. Jesus, for a 24-year-old, you're interesting. Anita Vaughn. I wasn't expecting it to give me so much interesting shit to do when I immediately started the save. Vixen. So that's 20 people so far I need to look at before I even start thinking about anything. Matt Striker, you leave alone. Jada Stone. Well, you're the champion, so you'll be remaining there until you lose that championship. But you're definitely one that's going to be on the short list. Because you just look like a star. Even from that one image and just your stats, you seem like a star. Alyssa Morano. She was in WWE before for a while, wasn't she? I think. She's an entertainer and has good looks. She's also on commentary. Doesn't seem to be improving on them though. So if I was to get her, you'd be putting her on something like Level Up to get experience. Over the Top Wrestling too here in Ireland. Signed to Ireland, Over the Top Wrestling. I've never actually been to an Over the Top Wrestling show. It's something I have to do at some point in time. Jimmy Smith. Surprised he's even still in the game, to be honest. Odinson. Now, Odinson is an interesting kettle of fish, and I don't know, you know, if you're going for elements of realism, if you can get someone so saucy, for lack of a better word. Not good enough. Not good enough. Bob motherfucking Holly. I mean, intimidation is one thing. Bob motherfucking Holly. God. I think that's an understatement to say that he'd be intimidating. For anyone that knows you're wrestling, like, he's not intimidating. That man's just death. Blink the wrong way and he'll kill you. Tito Santana, interesting. Also thought Evilise is very good, but ooh, loads of broadcasting deals ended there. Okay, interesting that. Interesting that. Orlando Jordan. Wow, forgot about him. Okay, so that's not too bad what it ended up showing there. I don't care about the weekly report. Now let's see what these three end up saying. Well, that's always going to say that, even if they're wrong, which normally they are. I don't know what it is about the system. WWE just never have a cool factor at all. It's always down. Okay, so that took much longer than it was meant to, but at the same point in time, it now gives us a chance to end up going and looking at some of the people that we're after writing down there. We have 31 names we want to look at before we end up starting anything, none of which will be used on regular television yet. Shortlist and Hisk, an actual proper deal. I was gonna say, Jesus, Powerhouse Hobbs couldn't be free. Yeah, Petey Williams is in WWE, but he's currently a producer, I believe. Doug Williams, again, you would consider. especially for psychology. Use him as an agent. If you never used him as a wrestler, use him as an agent. Any of their merchandise, fair enough. Now, Athena's an interesting kettle of fish. I like Ember Moon. I do. But, and this is where this type of stuff is simulator heavy, where it's a bit interesting. Like with Football Manager, in football, someone that's shite can become good. In wrestling, someone that has no personality will still have no personality unless they randomly find personality. Athena is one of those situations of she's a very good wrestler. She's incredible looks. But she also has no personality. It's kind of the Shinsuke Nakamura problem, which is ironic since he's the current bloody champion, United States champion, so we'll deal with that when we come to it. Okay, so that's 3 of them looked at the moment. Rachel Ellering. I mean, shortlist her for now. I forgot O'Valley words. O'Valley High Wrestling is back in this as well. Yeah, Gun is good, and Storm, like Rude. Bobby is here as well, and can wrestle. I know he's working as an agent, but he can wrestle, so you're almost always better bringing back Beer Money. I think, anyway. Bobby Stevenson was Damian Kemp. He done well in NXT, but wasn't really anything much. Yeah, interesting. So James will have to consider, not now, because I need to get Bobby back first. And there's no point paying him when we won't be using him for a bit, especially when he's in Juggalo Championship Wrestling and no one's actually sending anything. So we have him down there as keeping an eye on him. If it actually mattered, and you could put him into WWID and he'd actually improve anyone, I'd put him there, but I don't actually know if it matters. Shortlist hero, anyway. No, Ali J, I'd take him immediately. I would. And NXT is adding in new talent anyway. So, you know, wouldn't actually matter. Should be an okay addition there. Fair enough. Again, similar vein to Storm. If he'd actually develop anyone, you'd get him just to develop him. He won't, so it's a waste of money, but at the same point in time, screw it. Dasha, huh? Interesting. Interesting that Emma's out of work as well. So we'll wait and we'll see with her. She's 35, and even though I fundamentally disagree with the idea of doing a women's only pay-per-view, Evolution probably should happen again. So, you know, you'd end up using her for that, or a tournament of said distinction where you can end up showing things off. But that's interesting. Well, she's with TNA too, so you'd end up having use of her. But Masha is someone you'd end up taking anyway. How are you doing, Doc? It has been some time. It's hard. Like, there are a lot of incredible women in this game. Incredible women in this game. But yes, it is. But in general, no one wants to talk about the elephant in the room when it comes back to combat sport and women. I have nothing wrong with women in combat sport. Ronda Rousey, Cyborg were some of my favorite people to end up watching when they ended up being big in MMA. But it's just statistically true that people don't like seeing women get punched. So, like, I have fundamental problems with Survivor Series. But using WWE as its own foundation there, not to be mean to them, because it has a really good women's division, but that War Games match was tokenism at the best that I've ever seen it. And like, there was no story to that War Games, and it was really sloppy. So, like, you need to be careful around this. Like, Becky Lynch, in wrestling terms, was the biggest star in wrestling. So, like, you know, it's not a situation of I don't think they can be stars. It's just a situation of you need to be careful with the way they end up doing it. And you need to stop comparing them. Now, anyway, it doesn't matter yet. I'm not at the point for that to matter. You used to be better. We'll watch you. I'm doing well. It's a nice day. I'm going calm. As I was stating before, this is a far more calm, low brow, even more calming and less action than Football Manager. So I wasn't expecting it to bounce me with stuff when I ended up coming into it. So that's why this is taking a wee bit of time. But in general, I'm feeling well. I'm feeling good. Here in Ireland, it's a drab, depressing, horrible day. But at the same point in time, you know, you deal with what you have. Unfortunately, they never end up working that way for you, do they? Yeah, this I know. The rumor as to why Tessa Blanchard isn't with one of the big three companies was always that she had gotten into an argument with someone. With that being said, I couldn't give a rat's ass about humors, and if I was in charge of WWE tomorrow morning, I'd go and immediately get her. So let's see what they end up offering. Fuck off with your hiring veto. Tasha Steele, too. I forgot. I didn't realize how old Tasha Steele was. Great looker. You'd use her on and off. And with the deal the WWE has with TNA, you'd be able to. So there's no need to hamper her down. Yeah, okay. Interesting. Yeah, it's one of those situations. There's no point complaining about anything. Just up and go and continue at it and work as best you can at what you're at. Okay, you're one to keep an eye on. Because I actually plan on doing something. Unlike WWE, I actually plan on doing something with Tyler Bate at some point in time. So you're going to be useful. So I need to keep an eye on you. I don't want to sign you permanently, but I want to keep an eye on you. You're a Joshi wrestler. God, I feel so sorry for Ava. I feel so sorry for Ava. Being the Rock's daughter and having absolutely zero charisma. It's bonkers how little charisma she has. And she's a black hole of charisma. Yeah, no one's signing you big time yet. And you're champion. I don't like nicking champions from people until they end up losing the championship. I mean, it's just because you're in the chat with me and my dulcet tones are making you realize the beauty that you have and what you want to experience. Who are you starting with this time? That is fucking disgusting stats right there. You too, yeah. Thing with him is he has good charisma. I've seen him wrestle. He has a good movement around him. In America, though, he definitely needs a manager. Yeah, again, just like I know Joshi wrestlers are stamina freaks and the whole lot, but like that makes it arguably the best one of the best women's wrestlers in the fucking world. Like at 29. What am I arguing about? I mean, I could go into the database and change it myself to make it more realistic, but like, who gives a shit? Another wrestler bound by the fact of negative charisma. Unfortunately, love Natalia, but Jesus, she should make a stone dry. You're not working for anyone, and as a result of that, I'll try and gift you into ID. We're with Defy. Charles at 37. Another case of that. Then I'll have this aside on Yi. The Divan. Divan, get the table. Yes, keep an eye on you. And Paris, because I do eventually want to get you in as an NXT tag team. And then you, who at 24 is just a monster of a man. Anyway, that's all of my administrative bullshit done for the moment till we end up coming in. So now we need to decide what to do. WWE had already pre-booked a couple of things for this coming Raw. So to be fair to my idea of this, let's see what they've advertised for Raw. They have Cody advertise. No, they don't. Interesting, that. Sorry, you have to give me a second. Interesting, that. How do you find those type of saves? Like, that'd be a really low finance save, wouldn't it? You wouldn't get much money or anything like that with that, would you? Oh, that'll be fun. Okay, so the advertised Raw. Okay, so for tonight, they've advertised Rhea Ripley opening the show, Cody to make an appearance. Oh no, that was 7 weeks ago. Fucking arseholes. Why is it so hard to find out what the fuck they've advertised for tonight? Like... Oh, interesting. So is there much activity with them? Or how does that end up working? So, like, how many games is there? Is it the regular 38, or is there less or anything like that? Okay, so Gunther's on it. Braun needs to find a new challenger. Supposedly, Jay and Sammy might consider the tag team championships. Final Testament will respond to Scarlett. Rhea Ripley said she's not done with Liv. So the only actual thing advertised for it is the New Day thing. Okay. Interesting, that. This will be the only time I'll be doing this, by the way. After this, I'll change it to my situation, but I want to be somewhat accurate to what they have advertised. And I should check where they are too, I suppose. Everett. They're in Everett. Where the hell is Everett? Washington State. Fair enough. Change this, though. They're in that. Interesting. Okay. So, what I would do to start the show is recap of Survive. And apparently I can't spell at the moment, so... So that would just be a video of basically all of the stuff that happened in Survivor Series with a big-ass production to it. So which obviously means that you need everyone that was in the Survivor Series show. So that means you want... you want LaRue. Oh. Why aren't you on Raw? Well, you're on SmackDown for some reason. Okay. So you want Candice LeRae. Because obviously I can't structure the way that this will be done, so just throw everyone that's in it. So you want Liv Morgan. Naya. Tiffany. Raquel. Bailey. Now that's one of the things too that last night I definitely would have changed at Survivor Series. I would have 100% have had Bailey turn on the women's team. I still, considering you want to make her look like the dominating freak that she is, you want to make Rhea Ripley out to be the strongest woman on the planet. I still would have had the women win, but I would have had Bailey turn on the baby faces. Or if not Bailey, then maybe Naomi. Because you needed something in that match, because that match had nothing in it. It was literally just a spot fest. To be fair, nice that Gunther ended up going into that as well, because Gunther was the next one anyway. So Punk. Away you, Punk. Oh, the down is the OG bloodline on this. Or do I have to go to every single one of these pain in the arse? They don't seem to be, so I'm going to have to make the OG bloodline as a stable as well, I suppose. With the database, is I get 4 points for win, 2 for draw, and 1 for losing. Not sure that's realistic, but then again, I know, I feel that way as well sometimes when something ends up working like that. Like, fuck it, leave it, it should be grand. Sure, who will care? Sammy. If I miss anyone in this, by the way, I don't care. But this is typically how I end up doing this. Bronson Reed. And then the bloodline, which we do have here. Yeah, there we go. So there's our video. We have a big ass video with recaps of all the shit that ended up happening there. It doesn't need any explanation. So that's just how we start. The recap of Survivor Series. Okay, and we'll go from there after this advertisement, what we end up doing next. So there. Okay, so we'll just wait for the advertisement to go through, and then we'll actually maybe book how we'd end up starting things out. But there are some leagues in football that have different point totals as well, from what I know. Although I will say the 1 point for a loss seems a bit odd. I mean, my viewpoint, when you lose, you lose. You get nothing. You should get nothing if you lose. You are a failure. As a failure, you should lose. And with that, we can end up coming back to this. Why is my... Okay, get rid of that. Cool. Okay. So, now we need to decide on things. WWE gotten into the hang of things that typically these shows are 5 match card type shticks at most. So, the first thing that would be happening to open the show, for me anyway, would be Gunther comes out. Ironically, one of the things that mattered least from Survivor Series, Gunther would be coming out. Not with Ludwig, because if he comes out with Ludwig, it screws things up for later on. But you'd probably end up bringing Gunther out. You can make it a big extravagant entrance, and considering it's WWE, that could end up taking the guts of 4 minutes. I think 3 minutes. So you can have Gunther make his appearance. When Gunther ends up making his appearance, then you probably expect him to start getting ready for the microphone, and then for Damian Priest to come out and contest about the fact that Finn Balor ended up coming. So there are 3 things you can end up doing here. You get a Priest come out and do that, which is grand, but it makes Priest look like a whining bitch. You can have Finn come out and state that you only won because of me and now you owe me. Or You could have Gunther call out Finn. That's probably what I would end up doing. Get to the ring. Give a little bit of a conversation about themselves. He's not much of a talker, so give him maybe 2 minutes to talk a wee bit about himself. Specifically around Finn Balor, and then to call out Finn Balor. Now, because you're doing you want to end up setting up Finn Balor versus Damian Priest, and you're already starting the separation of the Judgment Day. We spend around 3 minutes on this. There's no way to do the fade, so you spend about 3 minutes on this. We let the crowd think that it's going to be Finn. The Judgment Day music starts, and it changes from the Judgment Day music to Dominic Mysterio. And Dominic Mysterio comes out on his own, without JD, without Carlito, without Liv. Because his heat has kind of died down anyway. Even though sometimes when he talks, he still gets booed out of the heavens. I think it's now the time to swap Dominic over to a babyface, ironically enough. Tries to say it should have been him instead of Damian, and he wants his chance tonight. Basically. And starts saying that as he's coming down to the ring. And at the moment, that's comping about 11 minutes. Because everything in Raw has to be fucking slow. If you're following the way that it's done at the moment. Then before he gets to see, don't actually want the Dominic match yet. Because the longer you leave the Dominic match, the more chance you instill into people's subconscious that Dominic actually might be able to scam you a win off of Gunther. So, from behind Gunther, JD and Carlito Where are you, Carlito? JD and Carlito come out and attack Gunther. Mildly. Gunther. Dominic pauses. But ultimately joins them. Then Damien makes a save. Because we're currently semi-turning Gunther into a babyface. We eventually want to turn Dominic into a babyface. We eventually want to turn the Judgment Day on Finn Balor. So this basically becomes a brawl. So we have Dirty, Carlito, JD, Gunther, and Priest. Like that. Liv isn't out there. Ludwig has come for the save. Damien was there for the attack. And they're basically they're working. And is it better to put it down as a brawl, or is it better to put it down as workers pulled apart? I think it's actually better to put it down as workers pulled apart. Which is annoying because it means I have to search everyone up again. Leave that there for now. And we need staff. So we need this to be staff. Okay. So we'll have Christopher Parks as the pull apart. We'll have Jason Jordan as part of the pull apart. Kenny Dykstra as part of the pull apart. Petey Williams as part of the pull apart. Specifically Robert. Robert is important to be there as well because we want to start showcasing Bobby Roode on the screen as much as we can in little segments in order to eventually bring him back. So it's important to start highlighting Robert Roode in these circumstances. So Robert would be close to the camera, making sure that he sees himself. And basically you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, plus a couple of security members, and then basically that's the pull apart for them. Then matches med, which is all of them again. So faster to go to Judgment Day and get rid of Liv and Raquel and Finn. And then go Gunther. Ludwig. And Priest. And immediately do a 6-man tag to start Raw. Get people up into good spirits. Have Pierce come out. Gunther gone there. Pierce come out, spend a minute and announce the match. Damien makes the save. Then Ludwig. helps in the save. Staff pull everyone apart. Robert Roode is showcased heavily within the camera. Adam Pearce comes out, makes a 6-man tag next. So that's how that would end up doing. And like that ends up getting your first 24 minutes into the show, which is astonishingly stupid. It's an astonishing waste of time. But at the same point in time, I think is the actual best way to do it. Sorry, give me a second. Cool. Yeah, so that would be how I would start this coming Raw this week. Because the War Games don't fucking matter, so they shouldn't be the focal point of what starts the show. And then we have our match, which is on the... In theory, you should always have your baby faces towards the stage and your heels towards the crowd. But with that actually being the case, we need to do... We're doing multiple interferences in this match. So... it actually makes more sense to end up doing it there. So Gunther and Ludwig. No. And Ludwig. With Priest. Which is funny since they just faced each other, but you know, begrudging partners while stealing within arseholes that are annoying you. Ultimately, there'll be an interference by Finn, who will attack Damien. But, and this is what will put the sympathy towards Gunther more than anything else, because they're taking the L in this one, is Sheamus will end up interfering and attacking Ludwig, because we're going to start cracking Sheamus that he didn't get the Intercontinental Championship. And ultimately we'll be turning him heel until he ends up getting it. He's going to subtly crack until he ends up winning it at Mania. Why is Borash's... Jeremy Borash's fucking skill at producing is that low down? Are you shitting me? What a crock of horseshit. What an actual crock of horseshit. Like... we also want Dominic Mysterio to pick up the win. It is a cheap by outside interference. Cheap finish. The loser is specifically Gunther. Comes when Finn distracts Priest. Then Sheamus takes out Ludwig. Dominic rolls up Walter to be, or Gunther's, which is Gunther's second ever pinfall loss on the main roster. The entire purpose of the match is to make Gunther look good. Gunther's dominant throughout it, because you need to ensure that you build him up before you end up making him lose. You want to go through 2 commercial breaks, and it'll take one immediately, and then you'll have another one in between, and then it'll finish after the commercial breaks. You want it to be at least 16 minutes. So I think 18 is the right number. Now, after Dominic picks up the win, we want to move back to Finn, who's watching all of this happen, pissed off, and Liv and Raquel, who are in the clubhouse with him. So what do you do with Liv? Well, I'll continue to think about that, but I'll be right back, because there's just 1 or 2 things that I need to check, and I'll give myself a quick relievement. So if anyone, so I'll chat to you all when I come back, and we'll decide what we end up merging that into. I just realized there, too, the stupidity of what I just tried to state. Because how would Finn be staring at the screen when Finn interfered in the fucking match? So yeah. So what we do instead is the camera will pan. How to do this right. I mean, technically it's an interview. So we'll go Adam Pearce, and the subject will be literally everything that happened there. So Priest and that, do Judgment Day, but again remove Liv and Raquel, then Priest, Finn, down, and Sheamus. So again, it technically will be an interview. It's the only thing I can put it down as. However, it'll be Jackie going up to Adam to get his opinion of it, and then that'll merge it. That'll give us our segue to merge into an entirely different topic. So Jackie will come up ready to talk to Pierce. She'll waste a minute, ready to talk about that particular segment. Pierce will turn around and say, I have to wait. And then Pierce will go over to talk to CM Punk. Again, there's no real way to connect this together. So Jackie goes to Pierce to talk about what just happened. He blows her off and runs to Punk. And again, I'll do down paragraphs for every individual section that we end up going into. So that would be what would end up happening there. He'd end up connecting to Punk. So you get, that's how he ends up going over to talk to Punk. Or is Punk that you want to do it to? Yes, because before Pierce is able to say anything to Punk. Oop, I'll continue that statement after this advertisement break here. So keep contemplating things and see how they end up going. Not a bad way of thought there. Okay, good. The advertisement is finished. So we continue on now. Now, the thing that I need to remember too is that this is only a 2-hour show, considering the way that the way that the USA Network has things done. So I need to stop this at 1:20. Dead. I can't go longer. You don't get an overrun on the USA Network. So I need to remember that as well. But yeah, so Pierce runs to Punk. Arrives to see Punk staring down Rollins. And considering it wasn't advertised, and it would be a nice surprise for people, you have Punk. I like, obviously WWE writes the scripts and all of them for everyone, but like for the likes of these, you don't know what to do. So basically, Punk alludes to the win at Survivor Series and tells Seth to watch this. And then that little 5-minute segment there where Pierce didn't actually get to do anything, but transitions over and keeps basically everything moving in one quick flow. And it makes Pierce look like a schmuck, but Pierce is a schmuck anyway. Who do we have on Raw that's enhancement talent? Wait, does Raw have no enhancement talent? Quick filter pushes. Written all like that. Yeah, but Alphabetical sort by push. Okay, main event, main event. Drew's still off. They don't have any enhancement talent. That is interesting. Well then. With that being the case, we'll have to pick someone from the LWO. I think. What was Ray doing? What was Ray doing on Raw? Or was he at anything on Raw? I fucking forget. Yeah, American Made defeated Ray and Dragon Lee. I mean, you could surprise everyone with CM Punk having an even match with someone and then put him up against Chad Gable. But you also don't want Punk to lose. So it actually isn't a good idea to put him in a match. So actually, I do know what you do. Because you're pissing them off anyway. And you're teasing that there's going to be the split. You pick Xavier Woods. You pick Xavier Woods. You have a really quick 5-minute match where Kofi comes down and accidentally interrupts this, which will lead into the celebration considering they didn't get to do it. I think that's how we do it. I think that's the best way to do it. Because it'll leave Kofi coming down to help Xavier get the upper hand, but unfortunately leading to the two of them happening, the two of them fighting in the ring, and then the return. A CM Punk win, a botched interference, and Xavier Woods. Technically not an interference, but you get what I mean. So, Punk gets GTS after Kofi comes down for support. But does that make Punk look bad? Maybe that's a bad way to connect things together. Actually, no. It's perfect, because Punk will get the win, but I'll increase this to a 10-minute match. Then we have a war of words between Kofi and Xavier. For about a minute. Xavier shouts at Kofi. Then the two of them are slightly pulled apart by Punk, because Punk is Kofi's friend too. So that ends up helping a bit. And then that ends up leading to ultimately what brings Seth back around to Punk, which is attacked is CM Punk, Kofi Kingston, and Xavier Woods by Bronson Reed. I'll give names to these angles at some particular point in time, but that's just it for the moment. So that basically leads to the two of them arguing with each other, CM Punk trying to stop the argument, Bronson Reed coming from behind and laying all of them out. That's at 62. We want... So, that's a 62. If we make this an 8-minute match, then that means exactly on the hour. Exactly on the hour. We have the extravagant entrance of Big E. Because I 100% assume, because well, why else would you set it up this way at the moment? I would 100% assume he's coming back. I'll change that, to be honest, because I 100% assume that he's coming back. I can't but not assume that's what they're after. That's what they're doing. Ultimately, for him to end up Xavier to turn on both of them. I have to think, like, it has to be the case that he's clear. And in fact, I'm going to change that now. I'm going to change that now in the database, because, like, who the fuck knows? I 100% think he's not injured. What is his actual name? Who does he know? Who does he know? So yeah, if I search up Rebecca Knox. That's horseshit, by the way. Yeah, on hiatus is fair, but yeah. Etor Irwin. We'll wait, because if I'm wrong, then if I'm wrong, then I'll change things around if I'm wrong. But But I'll do a massive Big E entrance. So I'll leave it the way that it is here, because he'd still be able to be used for this, because he's not doing anything, you know, that'll impact him in terms of this game. And while he's at that, Seth Rollins will come and start attacking Bronson. And the two of them will attack each other out of the arena. So Xavier shouts at Kofi. Punk comes to separate them. Bronson lays out all three. Big E's music hits and starts coming to the ring. Seth, out of nowhere, attacks Bronson out of the arena. Then Big E hypes the New Day and Punk, apologizing to the fans that the celebration is chaotic, but something about positivity. Xavier looks pissed. Punk walks away. That's pretty much that segment there. That's how I would do it anyway. That gets you 67 minutes into it. All of it has been merged in together. And so far, in your first cut that isn't interweaved, it goes back over to Finn Balor's face looking at CM Punk. So it goes from CM Punk over to Finn Balor. And the reason for that is because ultimately that'll be a match you'll be doing. So you end up subconsciously setting it up that eventually it'll go from Punk over to Balor. So we've done the recap of Survivor Series. Gunther does a big entrance, calls out Finn. Dominic comes out. He says it should have been him. Said Davian wants his chance. JD and Carlito attack Gunther. Dominic pauses but joins them to give the feeling of that he might be turning. Damien makes a save. Ludwig helps him. Staff pulls him apart. Robert Roode is shown heavily to the camera because eventually we'll end up bringing him back. Adam Pearce comes out, makes it a 6-man tag team match. 6-man tag team match ends up happening. Interference from first Finn to distract Priest. Sheamus takes out Ludwig. Dominic rolls up Gunther. Camera ends up moving over to Jackie Redmond, asking Pearce about what happened, who blows her off. Walks down to Punk. Punk meets Rollins. Punk alludes to the win and tells Seth to watch this. Xavier Woods comes out. No one was expecting that. Woods ends up having a contested match with CM Punk until Kofi comes down. Kofi's tiny distraction causes CM Punk to get the victory, even though he would have had it anyway. Xavier starts shouting at Kofi. Punk tries to separate them. Bronson Reed comes out and lays out all three. Big E's music hits and starts coming down to the ring. We don't know whether or not he is healed yet, so we don't let him interact into the action. Seth comes out of nowhere to attack Bronson out of the arena, leading to another interaction possibly next week between Seth and CM Punk, as we want the two of them to be given subtle jabs to each other for the time being. Big E helps the New Day and Punk. Apologies to the fan that the celebration was chaotic because you're not bringing them back up again. Says something about positivity. Xavier looks pissed during it. Punk walks away and then the camera pans over to Finn. So I think so far, on base concept, that's an okay show. Now we have another 50 minutes to book on this because it needs to be, the show is expected to be, so it needs to be 120 minutes long. So it pans back over to Finn. Who takes a couple of minutes to calm himself and then shouts at Dominic. Oh, God damn it. Okay. Then shouts at Dominic. Shouts at Dominic. Before gaslighting him. In some description. Again, not writing the actual script because they can do this themselves. Gaslighting him, saying he should have asked for help. When Liv comments, he says, okay, she can't speak. She almost lost the title to Tiffany Time in the War Games, which is an allusion to the fucking event that didn't matter. But don't worry, you can get one back. Now I got you a match versus her next. Which is again preluding to the fact that Finn is an absolute asshole and is doing everything for himself, gaslighting people to make sure that they end up listening to him. Otherwise, there's no point and everything will end up going bad. However, However, what's the next pay-per-view for WWE? Am I blind? Can't be the Royal Rumble. God, is WWE's next pay-per-view the Royal Rumble? Because that changes things quite significantly if it is. War Games, upcoming events, deadline, Saturday night main event. Yeah, that's what I thought. So that in between the Royal Rumble. Yeah. So that's kind of the thing with this game. It's very much dream simulator. So like, you can. I'll go out of this and I'll show my previous saves so I can show you, so I can give you a better idea of it. Because if I do anything now, it'll end up ruining what I have. So basically, you were in control of all of your talent, and you continue to put on shows. And your ultimate goal is to, increase your popularity and your revenue at the same point in time, and make sure that everything is well. Make as much money as you can do, make yourself the best thing. But it basically is just fantasy booker galore. So like an example would be my last event here was this SmackDown, where I ended up booking it the way that I ended up wanting it to do, based on however it ends up coming, which is what I'm ultimately doing here. It'll end up checking to see how each individual segment ended up doing. Like, I thought my video recap was 100%, nothing could be done better. Same with my next bit. This bit here was 88%, so the audience liked it 88%, and you can continue to go down, and factors end up changing how good something is, how popular someone is, how unpopular they are, elements such as that. And the more you use them, the better you use them, the more impressive they end up becoming. They'll end up doing, you can add active storylines that'll end up giving you heat, which is how much that it's loved or hated. And that'll improve people's popularity and all that type of ways. As the workers end up working away, their stats will end up increasing or decreasing depending on how much they're wrestling. If they wrestle a lot, they'll end up increasing their wrestling ability more. If they're in loads of mic and talking segments, their entertainment will end up going up. If they work with people who've done phenomenal amounts of wrestling, or with agents that are really good, you'll be able to improve their psychology. Safety is just, again, with the improvement of all three. Stamina is how you continue to do stuff, and basically the more you do shit, the more they improve, and you try and make your workers as good as they can end up being. So like, I haven't used Byron this week, so he's not improving in wrestling, but he is improving in his entertainment because he was used in a segment that allowed him to end up showcasing his chops a bit. You can change their names, you can change their gimmicks, you can end up adding elements such as that, and that's pretty much how it ends up working. It is basically just fantasy booker galore. So like, it is, I could spend hours into this, but some people will find this even less easy to get into than Football Manager, because like, at least you have gratification syntax back at you with Football Manager. Like, it's not as easy for this. Yeah, pretty much. Like, I'm now, I'm 2 hours into this and haven't really done anything. I'm not even an hour into the save and into my
steady swimming on the safe side. Say your life a movie, but I'd rather watch paint dry. All of my accomplishments will fade off into gray sky. I am just a ripple in the pond trying to save lives. Hang tight. A big decision's what I'm making now. See my numbers growing, mama only sees the bank account. Tell me that this decade of my 20s is a major route. Am I flying passively on autopilot, normal child? I take the pencil and jot a rhyme on the instrumental. Now under pressure, my writing process is slow and gentle. I let it go, don't control my life, trying to beat Geppetto. While people think that the sky is falling like Chicken Little. So if you want to grow better, switch up the game plan. Take a new approach, the results will come with patience. A lot of these artists got numbers figured in spray tans. I'm trying to get paid on my own road for show, so hopefully the money will translate. I know it's not the leading motive, but it's a great way to show my own family and supporters that it's possible to grow up, make a living off a dream that's been inside you as a kid. So take a little step back, relax. Enough with all the stressing about the future and detach.
Thanks, Duck. I only noticed it there. So yeah. So, and again, I have the audio here, so you think I'd notice it. Not hearing my voice in the back of my head. Now, much to my chagrin, unfortunately, I'm actually not going to finish this particular session, this particular Monday Night Raw, before I have to finish up, because I have to finish at 5:30, and I'm not going to get the rest of the show booked in time. But we'll do what we can for now. I might come back later on this evening and finish it, but we'll continue we'll go where we are for the moment until I need to stop. We'll go. Anyway, he got her a special match with Tiff next. So, like, we want to end up setting it up that Nia Jax knocks Rhea Ripley on her ass here, as Nia will come out and save Tiffany. But who does the win against Tiffany help more? Liv or Raquel? Now, Tiffany has been dominated and destroyed. So she actually has no credibility at the moment, but will have a good match with anyone. So I think the best thing to do is for Raquel she and Liv walk away. And I think that's how you do that. I think that's the best thing to do. I'm also really lazy, so promo cutter go. Go. And then go. And do that. And that's a quick 4-minute little segment with them. And then you'll have Raquel versus Tiffy. Oh, bollocks. The only person I wanted to actually join them there. Okay, so we have Raquel with Liv at ringside versus Tiffany. Now, Tiffany's not on Raw, Tiffany's on SmackDown, which is why it's a special match. The other problem with that is it means you're not using anyone on fucking Raw, any of the female wrestlers, but we'll worry about that later on. What do you mean? It's the fucking default announcers, you pricks. God, they haven't changed these at all either. Okay, and again, Raquel will win this match. We won't have any interference in this. Raquel will just end up winning, and we'll make Raquel look good because she currently doesn't. We need to set up Raquel to face off against Rhea as well. Now we need to do multiple setups here. Okay, so this is going to piss off Tiffany Stratton, and I don't really blame her, but she needs to be the guinea pig here, unfortunately. Then, once that ends up happening, we have Raquel. Supposedly it's not going to fucking do it for me. So we have R. Am I daft or whatever? I'm not in the mood for this. Why aren't you assigned to Raw? Oh, fucking dipshits. So we Raquel and Liv celebrating for about a minute, and then we have Nia Jax come down. Then we have Nia Jax stare down. Liv and Raquel. Yeah, and Raquel like that for about 2 minutes. And then from behind, we have Rhea come and attack all three. This ends up setting up that for the Royal Rumble, Rhea Ripley could end up winning the Royal Rumble and challenging either Nia Jax and Liv Morgan. But ultimately, we're going to end up having Tiffy. So she'll do 3 minutes of that, mildly. Then Tiffy will pull them apart. So we'll have Rhea, Liv, Raquel, and Nia pulled apart by Tiffy, which, by the way, on the surface makes no sense, but it is her just pulling Rhea away from them, but it's the only one that I have for the pull apart. Yeah, no, actually that does make no sense. So then after the attack, Tiffy will get up and will stare. We'll stare at Nia and Liv. No, not Rhea. What am I on about? Tiffy. So, basically, the way that we end up doing this is that Liv and Raquel celebrate. Nia Jax makes her entrance to come down because the bet's Tiffy. Nia Jax stares at Liv and Raquel for about a minute. So all of this happens in 3 minutes. Then Raquel, Nia, and Liv are attacked by Rhea for about 2 minutes. Then after that, Tiffy starts to get up. So Tiffy attacks Rhea and sends her out of the ring. Then Tiffy stares down at Liv and Jax. And Rhea stares at all three of them. That way, you set up Rhea to have an interaction with Nia and Liv and Raquel, and Tiffy is there as the potential hindrance for both Rhea, plus Tiffy didn't decide whether or not she was going to cash in there on both Liv and Nia. I think that's how you end up doing that. That's exactly what it says in the tin. It also sets Raquel up as a potential combatant for Nia. And I think that's pretty much it. Liv and Raquel celebrate over a beaten Tiffy. Nia comes down. Nia stares at Raquel and Liv. Rhea attacks all three. Tiffy sends Rhea outside. Tiffy stares at both Nia and Liv. Thinks about cashing in. Rhea stares at all four as they get back up. And I think that's pretty much the way that you'd end up doing that segment. I think so. Oh, excuse me. So what now? We have another 32 minutes to book. And we need a main event too. That might have been my big problem. I don't have a main event. I mean, I think you pan the camera from Rhea. A pissed off, well, a satisfied but angry Rhea over to Sheamus, who is about to be interviewed. No, actually. To a Kathy Kelly. Even though I don't like the stuff that they're doing. A Kathy Kelly who finds Karrion Kross with Paul Ellering, Akam, Rezar, and The Miz. So we move from that over to this. Now I have no interest in the Wyatt 6. Because I don't know how to do it. I legitimately don't know how to do it. And think you make this a really quick 4-minute segment where Cross tells Kathy they know where the Six have Scarlet. I just spell and next week them and the Miz will make I mean, to be honest, I'm half tempted to block the fuck this particular storyline, but you need to do something with it. But he wouldn't be waiting a week either. Kathy. So without the Miz first. That's Kathy. Or Kathy comes to him. Kathy comes to Cross asking about Scarlet. He says he doesn't know anything. Then Miz appears. Miz appears, says he has information on the Six's whereabouts. So they need to plan. Akam lifts Miz away because this is a fucking comedy skit at this point, to be honest. I really don't like the... I don't mind spooky shit in wrestling, but like, I don't know how you do the Wyatt Six. It's not my cup of tea. I don't know how you do it, so set them up to just have the Miz turn on the Final Testament, because it's of course what's going to end up happening. But for now, just have a little 5-minute segment there. And there is about 30 minutes left to book of the show. And I will book that 30 minutes the next time I come live with this. That might be later on this evening. I can't guarantee anything. We'll wait and see how I end up doing. It might be another day later on. But I will, once this is done, end up saving it and creating a brand new section in the Discord where everyone can have a better idea of what's going on anyway. But for the time being, this actually has been interesting for myself to end up going through, and I appreciate you all who came and watched for the last 2.5 hours. Let me just see what this says. In each city, in pregame editor, it has an attrition rating. An attraction, not attrition rating. Can't remember what it's called, which I think affects good youth. Oh, interesting. So maybe, I would assume Benfica's is off the chain, so if that's the case, Duck. But yeah, no, it was a pleasure to have you, and thank you so much for the interactivity. From the hour and a half that I booked in the 2.5 hours that I've been at this, what do you think so far? Or has it gone completely over your head? Oh, I could understand that too. I mean, the City of London is the greatest city outside of the United Kingdom. Search it up. The City of London is not part of the United Kingdom. And with that random fact, I'll leave all of you. But thank you so much and have a great time. And I'll chat to you all later.
I'm not over you till it's all